Their quarterback, Eric Fish, is back. They've got an explosive offense. They may make a little bit more noise.
You talked about, and they're in so many World Series.
Against us, their wideout had 7 or 8 catches in our ball game, and I thought he was their best receiver, and they didn't go to him until they played us.
Crusaders didn't play, but everybody else in the conference did, as we see by checking the scores. Butler beat Howard Payne.
Howard Payne's out of Texas, Division II program.
17-7. Dayton continues to roll at home.
Dayton beat Albany State of Georgia, which is also a Division II program, so those are scholarship schools.
Some other scores from over the weekend. Drake and Missouri Western played to a 19-19 tie. And Evansville, that's one of their big rivals because they're relatively neighboring schools down there.
Half hour, 40 minutes away from each other.
Kentucky Wesleyan in Owensboro, Kentucky. And I think we have one more score. It was San Diego losing to Chico State in their season opener.
Right, I think their official name is Cal State Chico now.
Okay. All righty, we mentioned that the key to many programs are quarterbacks, like Eric Fish for Evansville. The key to the Crusader program has to be this man sitting over here on the right. Coach, you've been telling me how well Nick Browder's been looking in training camp. Now it's time for him to show stuff.
He's, I think, become a student of the game over the summer. He had all of our tapes from last year. I'm sure he watched them once a week anyway during the summer, and became a great student of the game. His intelligence for the game is upped quite a bit. His poise then naturally has followed, maturity has naturally followed that course because he's so confident in what he's doing.
Do you feel, Nick, that you're a lot more confident going into this year than you were last year?
Yeah, a lot more because I have a feel for the game pretty much more. You know, as a freshman, I got to play a little bit, so sophomore year last year was really my only starting type season.
Did you do more studying of the films, and what led you to do that, if that is the case?
I felt I had, the athletic ability to do it, and it's more mentally now of what I need to do out there, understanding the coverages of the defense. Just basically more of a studying type thing of the game.
You appear to like to really run the football, and we can see you rushed for 6 touchdowns there a year ago. How much do you want to run? Do you like the quarterback draw? Do you like the sprint out? How much do you want to run with the football? Some quarterbacks like to sit back in the pocket, just throw it. But you have that ability to make things happen when you do have the football in your hand. How much do you like running with the football?
Well, a lot of the time I run, but by force. I don't want to, it's not a choice to run it, but I don't have a problem with running the ball. Actually, I do kind of like it, but as far as, helping the team, maybe throwing it more would help the team.
Coach, how much is Tom Horne, how much is Nick Browder going to run with the football this year?
Well, it depends upon what the defense gives us. We run the triple option. We throw the ball, pro-style passing game, and we have some misdirection things as well as part of our offense. So those are the 3 things that defensive coordinators really hate to defend. If all 3 of those things come together, and we run the option well, Nick could run anywhere from 4 to 15, 16 times a game, depending upon what the defense is giving us.
Okay, we talk about Nick's versatility, and Nick, I'll let you comment. We're going to take a look at a couple plays from last year's Evansville game, which shows your versatility. This is, I guess, is this you running from force or running because it was a planned play?
No, that was a call play, quarterback draw.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and here's the great move. Watch the 2 players collide, and then outside, and then you do the smart thing here. You get out of bounds.
Well, I wasn't going any further, so I was not trying to take a hit.
Coach, that's something which is taught, get out of bounds.
Yes, we always talk about that. There's no sense being a hero to try and stick your shoulder into a 230-pound linebacker for an extra yard when you can get out of bounds.
And then the arm strength here, Nick. This is about 45 yards on the dime. You remember that play?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was Ozzie the number 1 option there?
No, he wasn't. I had all day, to throw it, and I was just looking around, and I saw him later in the, as the play was developing, and I had all day, to throw it. So
we can remember when 3rd and 38 comes up this year, what to look for, right?
Well, basically, as part of our offense, it's in our playbook, and Nick can attest to that. we tell the receivers what to do if the quarterback gets in trouble, if it takes too much time or whatever. And Ozzie just went across the field and up the sideline. And there's a page in our playbook, and we use it a few times a game. Here it happened to help us score and maybe win the ball game.
We saw great pass protection there, but that wasn't always the case last year. That's been documented. Do you feel like this offensive line is better than last year? And if so, in what spots and why?
They showed a lot of, promise early in the camp that we've been doing so far, and they do look stronger, more mentally into it than they did last year. And as far as playing, they know that we're a team that can possibly go 10-0, and they want to be a part of that. So I think more of them are pushing the ones in front to work harder, because everybody wants to be a part of a winning team, and they're just coming out looking real good. Start holding up our number one guys pretty well. So
10-0, Coach. Is that what's being talked about right now? That's a lofty goal.
Well, I think that's an off-season goal when you're talking in the wintertime and in the spring and during the conditioning and weights program and the running program. And I think that you go into the season thinking 10-0 and you lose a ball game early in the year, that could devastate you. I know when I was at Toledo, we were talking 11-0, and going into the season we played a top-ranked top 20 ranked team in Sports Illustrated and lost 20-17, and it deflated us for 3 weeks. So I think it's dangerous to talk 10-0 really.
Okay, let's take a look at game number one, a preview of game number one. It's a ball game which, Coach, if we can judge by what took place 2 years ago, you should win. Now, how much better is St. Xavier this year than they were 2 years ago when they came to Brown Field and you pretty much dismantled them?
Well, they're a much better team, but I think so are we. But they have spring football practice. They've had a game to work out the kinks. The most improvement a football team makes every year is between their first and second ball game. So those are concerns for us.
They were beaten 34-12 by Tiffin
University in Ohio, which has a pretty good program, very good Division III football program.
Okay, Nick, St. Xavier, what are you looking at? What are the reads? What do you know about their defense?
They come in cover 2 or cover 3 type defense, cover 2 man, zones. So, we have the plays to beat the zones or the coverage that they're in actually at each time. And Coach Horne's giving me more control over the offense, I'd say, where I can go up to the line, get a pre-snap read, and kind of change the play as to what I see. I think will work.
Your two veteran receivers, Scott Heinrichs, Michael Tolbert, how have they looked? How are you gelling with them? Both will see tremendous amount of playing time this year. Heinrich saw a lot last year. Michael Tolbert saw some, but both will see a great deal of playing time this year.
I like throwing to both of them. They both run really good routes. They get open all the time. I don't think that there's too many, if any, who can cover them both man to man. So I don't think we'll be seeing too much man coverage out there. And they're both, have a deep threat. They can run 4.5, 40s, 4.4, whatever. But they're just going to be somebody tremendous to try and stop out there. And bring it down to the line, when the line holds the people up, we got the people who can put it in the zone.
All right, Coach, I've got to ask you about the fullback spot. You lost Trevor Bell, obviously a big loss. What's back at fullback? Who's back at fullback? Who will see the bulk of the playing time?
Well, Nate Bolbeck is our starter right now, and Bob Cracknell from Los Angeles, California, is doing a real good job at fullback. He was transformed from tailback to fullback at 1,700 yards in L.A. his senior year in rushing, so he has obviously some ability to run the football. It's a matter of these guys knowing what their blocking assignments, because they all can carry the ball pretty well. It's knowing their blocking assignments in the passing situations especially, and picking up blitzes is the critical thing. Okay,
and Nick, obviously you'll try to get the ball in Ozzie Young's hands as often as possible. We saw the third and 38. Does it get to a point where Ozzie can make such big plays that maybe you're afraid to look to him a little bit too much because you look to him so often?
Well, yeah, he does have the ability to make the big play on any given play. It could just be a straight dive, and he can go 80-some yards, 90 yards. But I don't feel that I look to him more than anyone else. It's more of the defensive reads, whoever is supposed to be there at that time, whoever I see. And if it happens to be Ozzie more than someone else, then but it's whoever I see, actually.
Coach, how about St. Xavier's offense? What problems might they pose?
Well, they've always had a pretty good running game, and I know that this year they're going a little more passing to balance up their attack. So they'll present some problems to us both on the ground as well as in the air.
Okay, let's take a look at the other games around the conference. A full slate of action, including an intra-conference game right below there. San Diego-Dayton, already a good one. San Diego makes their first long journey of the year.
Right, they're on the road now 3 times in a row, and the third one will be us, of course, at the end of this month here for homecoming.
Butler at Towson State. What problems might Towson State impose on the Bulldogs?
Well, they're in the same boat as we are. They're one AA scholarship, so it depends upon how well Butler's offensive line recovers from losing the entire line to graduation.
Drake and St. Ambrose, they're pretty good rivals, right?
Yes. St. Ambrose, a Division II program that has scholarships and spring football practice, playing early in the year. They might have a little edge there, and we'll see how well they did recruiting-wise and if they got a lot of those players back from a year ago. And
Cumberland College out of Tennessee, I believe they hold the dubious distinction of suffering the worst loss in college football history. I think they lost 238-0 to Georgia Tech at one point. Yeah.
Well,
Evansville won't put that big a hurt on them, will they?
You're a big-time sports trivia guy, so you would know that.
Yeah. All right, coming up next week, we will take a look at the highlights from St. Xavier, and we'll preview the ball game against Wisconsin Whitewater. Special thanks goes out to Nick Browder. Good luck this season, Nick.
Thank you.
Big things expected. Thanks for coming on. The coach as well. We'll see you again next week. Again, highlights from St. Xavier coming your way next week for the coach, Tom Horne. This is Todd Eichow. We'll see you next week, same time, same place on Valparaiso University Football.
Valparaiso University Football is underwritten by the following. Costas Food at 2800 Calumet, Valparaiso, 801 Broadway, Chesterton, and US Highway 6, South Haven. Costas Foods, where shopping is a pleasure.